Hi, this is Anil and welcome to the video tutorial for the Learning Lad on C++ programming. So in this tutorial we're going to be learning about the continue statement in C++. So in the last tutorial we have learned about the break statement, which is used to immediately terminate a loop. This continue statement skips the current iteration and it forces the loop to continue with the next iteration. When we use this continue statement with the for loop, when this continue statement is encountered, it causes the conditional test and increment portion of the loop to execute. And if we use this continue with while and do while, then the program control will be passed to the conditional test, skipping whatever code we have written after the continue statement. So to demonstrate that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a simple program. First we're going to use a for loop. So we're going to print the value from 1 to 10. To do that we're going to need a variable. I'm going to create a variable called counter, and next we're going to write the for loop. So it's going to be for counter equal to 0. Counter, let's say we want to print the number from 1 to 10. That's why let's make it 1, and counter less than or equal to 10, counter plus plus. So here in this for loop we're gonna write a simple cout statement to just print out the value of the counter. Now I'm gonna save this, I'm gonna build and run this. So you guys can see we have printed the numbers from 1 to 10. Now let's say in this for loop we want to skip some statements, or we don't want to execute this cout statement when this counter value becomes 5. So to do that we're going to use the if statement. If counter equal to 5, we want to skip all the statements here, so I'm going to use continue. That's it. I'm going to save this, I'm going to build and run this. Okay, don't spell it wrong, it's going to be continue, C-O-A-N, continue. Alright, I'm going to save this, build and run this. Alright, now you guys can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is missing, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what happened here is, when this counter value was less than 5, this if expression evaluated to false. That's why this continue statement is not executed and our program just printed this cout. And when this counter variable contains a value 5, this continue is executed. So when a continue is executed in a loop, what happens is, whatever we write, whatever the statements we have next to that will be skipped, or that will not be executed, and the next iteration will be forced. So here in for loop, when this continue statement is encountered, all these statements will be skipped and the control will be passed to this counter, incremented, then the condition is checked, and then the next iteration happens. Now the counter variable is going to contain 6, and that's why this if will not be executed. Whatever statement we have next will be executed, and that's why we got the numbers from 1 to 10 except 5. So now what happens if we use this with do and while loop? So let's initialize this counter to a value of 1 here, and I'm going to use a while loop. So it's going to be while, and so here we're going to print out the value of the counter. So it's going to be cout counter, again end line, and now we need to test the condition whether counter is less than or equal to 10. Okay, we need to increment our counter, so I'm going to do that here, counter plus plus. I'm going to save this, I'm going to build and run. So now you guys can see we got 1 to 10. Now if I want to skip these statements of this while loop, if the counter value is equal to 5, so at that time what we can do is, if counter is equal to 5, I want to skip this. That's why I'm going to use continue, and also we need to increment this counter inside this, because otherwise counter is gonna always contain a value of 5, and we need to do that before this continue statement. So if we write this after this continue, that will not be executed. So here what happens is, when this counter value becomes 5, the counter will be incremented for 1, and then this continue statement is encountered. When this continue statement is encountered, all the statements next to this continue will be skipped, and the control will be passed to check the condition. Here now this counter becomes 6 because of this line, and the program is gonna print the numbers from 1 to 10 except 5. So I'm gonna save this, build and run this. So now you guys can see we have 1 2 3 4 6 7 8 9 10. Alright guys, a continue statement is used in a loop. The current iteration will be skipped and the loop will be continued with the next iteration if the expression which is responsible for running the loop satisfies. And when we use this continue with a for loop, the control will be transferred to updation and the condition portions, and when we use this with the while and do while loop, the control will be transferred to check the condition. So alright, thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. If you guys have any doubt, don't hesitate to ask us, and like my Facebook page at facebook.com/learninglad, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.